Hello, welcome to this episode of URC Unloaded in partnership with Supersport, which means hopefully we're going to get a South African guest on to give us the South African insight into the finals. But it is finals. It's finals week, Stevie. Give me your finals face. Oh, that's a terrible, mate. That's terrible. It's like you're on the toilet.
That's
better. That is better. That is better. We have no John Barkley today. No. Again, aloof. He's a hobo, basically, which I found out means you travel and work where you end up. So we don't know where is he?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Last seen in Hong Kong. If I could come back as anyone, I'd come back as John Barkley, I think. He's got a life.
Yeah.
Working or holidaying. But he's not on this show, which is a shame because this could be the last show. We're not sure. So make sure you get your questions in. And we'll try and answer them as best we can. How have you been, Stevie? How's your back? Give us an injury update.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm heading away on holidays next week, and I rang the local clinic to see if they could fit me in to get it injected next Tuesday. But I didn't want to get it injected before then because I've got a game of golf lined up on the Monday. So it's average at the minute. Playing golf tomorrow, Royal Portrush with a few local mates tomorrow. So no doubt I'll be absolutely busted tomorrow night with the bad back. But hey ho, the holiday to look forward to.
Yeah, I played in the week, but whenever I lose, I never talk about it. So I just wipe it clean. I hate losing. I hate losing golf, but I did. So less we talk about
Who
that,
too?
better.
Who too?
No one famous, mate.
It's not like you.
I know. I gave him a couple of extra shots as well because he's had a poor season so far, but
yeah,
shouldn't have. I'll tell you one thing. I played with someone sabotaged my 3-wood. That's been the problem.
Who sabotaged your 3-wood?
Don't know. I hit 3 shots with it, duck hook 2, and then skied 1. And I looked down at it, and it's all cracked on the front. I think it was Austin Healy when I played in a golf day because I snapped his club a year ago. Snapped his putter a year ago. But he won't admit to it. Anyway, get a bit of that holy water on your back that Alan Quinlan's mum.
Yeah. I've seen Quinny. I seen Quinny at the weekend there at the final of the Champions Cup, obviously, and we're chatting away, and he said to me, "Oh, did you get the holy water? My mum gave it to you. Did you get it to the lads?" And I said, "I'm going to be honest with you. I gave it to Tom Shanklin, and I have no idea what he done with it." And he was like, "Oh, right." I was like, I completely spoofed. I was like, "I think he maybe gave it to the bag man." And he was like, "Oh, brilliant! Thanks very much."
Have you got it? Have you still got it? Have you still got it or not? Have you thrown it?
Shanks, I do. I must have a look. It must be somewhere. I definitely brought it home with me. So I'll maybe put it in the back before I go away on holidays. You never know.
Right, it's great. It's great for vampires. Anyway, look, Brayton is trying to get to us online, but he is having a couple of technical difficulties at the moment. So we will get him on as soon as possible. Now, there was a break in the URC last week, and that is because we had a Champions Cup final in Dublin.
Are you reading some of these messages coming in?
No, I've not seen one yet.
No, it said, "Oh, Stevie, nice door. Stevie, very swanky. That's some radiator you've got too." I'm going to get a radiator cover for Christmas.
Is it? Have you just moved in? Is it a brand new build?
Oh, I've been here too long.
Yeah. Anyway, Leinster, La Rochelle, Champions Cup final. We said last week, a couple of weeks ago, Stevie, the quarterfinal Leinster Munster, that was up there with being one of the games of the season. Not high scoring, but just had absolutely everything. Yeah. Now this final, I think, was even better. The bar was raised even higher. I think it was. If you're a neutral, it was a great game to watch. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it was amazing, Shanks. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Was working on it, doing commentary for it. And do you know what? I had everything. It felt like I was in the stadium, like actually commentating on the game for about 5 hours. And usually games that are really good go very quickly, but there was just so much happening, so much drama. Obviously the huge comeback by La Rochelle, it just felt like it was never ending. Like 15 minutes into the second half, it felt like there was a minute or two to go. It was so physical. Looking through clips, I don't know about you, there's been so much put up on social media about the referee and La Rochelle were off their feet here and everywhere. I think both teams contributed just a hell of a game. Like the breakdown was frantic, it was chaotic, it was illegal, but it was brilliant. It was really good to watch, and fair play to La Rochelle. I thought they probably deserved their win in the end because they were the better team for 60 minutes.
They had more possession, and I think there were some real dodgy decisions around the breakdown, but I think it was for both teams. I think it evened itself out.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was a bias towards either team. I told my dad after 17-0 down, I said, put a little bet on La Rochelle. It's worth doing it because everyone wrote them off. 17-0 down. You just knew if they could slow Leinster down a little bit, if they could get to their power game, if they could start if they could start dominating in the scrum, which they did, they'll get themselves back into it. And those 2 tries before halftime were so important to them. Yeah. But I saw a stat, Stevie. I don't know if this is true or not, but I don't believe that Leinster's backline, apart from 10, actually passed the ball. Like more than once, maybe. I think this normally what you see with Leinster is a lot of passes, a lot of movement, but there was hardly any of that. They sort of they went back to a kicking game. They went back to low risk. They weren't able to launch any face plays.
You can sort of understand that, Shanks, because being 17-0 up, you might go into your shell a bit more and protect it. And they didn't have to work that hard for their 17-0 lead because it came a bit too easy for them and they caught La Rochelle on the hop. But I wouldn't be surprised by that stat. There was a couple of pulled passes, but that was usually from a forward, a forward out the back of the front runner to a back. And, Ross Byrne took it into contact numerous times. Robbie Henshaw was just like a Esterset missile. Like he was just direct route one the whole time. We never seen Ringrose in any open space at all. It just seemed like those 2 centres were just tackling all day. And I've said it, you maybe seen it flash up on the screen after 60 minutes or something. There was 160 tackles made by Leinster and 35 made by La Rochelle. There's only so much you can defend your own line and defend phase play after phase play. And as you rightly said, Shanks, the power game. But here, Shanks, what about Will Skelton? Is he going to play for Australia? And I heard Suteni as well, the 13 who scored a try. He's eligible for Australia as well. That could be an outside bet for the Rugby World Cup.
Do you see it? Do you see his break? He nearly scored. He just lost his foot in right at the end. So good on his feet. They'd be stupid not to pick him. They'd be stupid not to pick Skelton. Now that people have just left him alone a little bit. Everyone was trying to get him ripped. They were trying to get him in a 6-pack. Muscles everywhere. He's not like that. He's not like me and you. He's more like Barkley. He's just he carries a bit of weight. That's just the way he plays. And I think as soon as people stop trying to turn him into a machine, they get the best out of him. So he was amazing. You cannot look past him. I think.
Yeah,
he has
I
to be
agree.
good. Right, we've got him online. Brayton, how are you?
I'm so sorry, boys. In South Africa, we have a thing called load shedding. So I think the load shedding has unfortunately disrupted my start.
Never heard of it.
No worries.
You're just making that up. You are just making that up. You're just shouting words. It's the G4. It's the G4 4X3, which we have in South Africa. Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, Tom, I'm good. Stevie, I'm good. It's been a
good to see you, brother.
Cape Town is a buzz. It's a vibe. People from across the country is coming to Cape Town this week, and I wonder what's going to happen, guys.
Yeah, talk to us about the build-up to this event that's happening on Saturday. I mean, are there billboards up? Is everyone talking about it? Is it all over the news, all over the papers?
Literally since last week, it's been all over the news, all over the papers. It's been on TV all the time, and certainly, the URC has certainly got something right in terms of where the final is being played this season again in Cape Town. And I mean, the tickets were sold out in 2.5 hours, guys. And lots of my rugby friends, really die-hard Stormers fans, can't even get tickets. And that's how much attention this final has got. And obviously, playing a team like Munster, which is a really, really big team, people are excited, but at the same time, they're nervous. They respect Munster because of the tradition. And the only team this year that beaten the Stormers at home. So lots to play for this weekend. But I can tell you, I think the party has started since Monday, and people are just out and about in the streets, and everybody is having a good time. And hopefully that the Munster fans who will come over to Cape Town will have good memories when they come here.
Did you expect this semi-final? Because the way the games went, we weren't sure whether we thought Ulster would beat Connacht, but that didn't happen. Yeah. So then it's all to do with ranking in the league. And then all of a sudden, Stormers beat the Bulls. We thought that might happen, but then you get a home semi-final. So even better. And now you've got a home final. So, I mean, talk us through, what you thought about the quarters and the semis.
Yeah, I mean, Stormers fans especially thought that, they already, some of them had planned to make a trip to Ireland. And that was the feeling from a lot of the Stormers fans. And I have to say that John Dobson really played it really, really good in the media, with the players. When you spoke to him one-on-one, not on TV, but one-on-one, you had a sense that he's preparing his team for whatever comes their way, whether they're going to play home or away. They would have been in the right state of mind. And as you guys know, professional sport, it seems to surprise us all the time. We as players or people, pundits can make our speculation, and we can decide that, according to form and according to how things gone over the last couple of months, Leinster should be in a final, and here we are a week before the final, and the Stormers and Munster's in the final. So you always have that sort of surprises. You can be slightly off your game on a specific day, and your opponent will exploit that, and that's what I think what the Munster has done. Stormers, obviously, a tough team to play at home, but I think that John Dobson certainly, he has taken a lot of pressure off his players and a lot of expectation of his players, because if you had to pick, a winner before the season, I don't think people would have given the Stormers a chance, because many people from South Africa thought that it was a fluke, things just went their way, kind of a fairy tale story. But let me tell you, John Dobson and his team, they certainly had the belief, and they certainly created a buzz the last couple of weeks in Cape Town that I haven't seen, since my playing days. And it's wonderful to see. I think it's great for URC, and I think it's great for the game and growing the game in a World Cup here.
Tell me a little bit, just with your inside knowledge on the way that the Stormers play, obviously with Manny Lubbock at 10. Do you reckon they'll have to alter their game plan just a little bit? You look at the way that Glasgow played against Munster, and Munster shut them down, and the way Glasgow, when they're in full flight, play similarly to the Stormers. Do you think there will be a bit more of a tactical nous from John Dobson this week to try and put Munster back in their own territory?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, especially after the Munster win, there was a lot of 1 or 2 videos being sent out by the Stormers boys or people around them, and I think that wasn't really well received from a Stormers point of view, because the people in Cape Town especially see the Stormers as a very humble team. They're not going out to try and be arrogant, because there's so much they play for. So I feel that going into a game plan for the final, the Stormers only know one way, and it's to keep the ball alive. Everything is centered around Manny Lubbock. But in saying that, they have what we call in South Africa the mongrels that are doing the hard work, and they are really relieved to have a guy like Marvin Ori back. We all know Munster's set pieces are damn good. They are good in scrums. They are good at lineouts. So Mahoney and his team will certainly be up for it to disrupt the Stormers. And what was interesting about the Stormers and impressive about the Stormers last week, again, Connacht, is that although they had 40% ball possession, they still managed to win the game. And that's a danger of a Stormers team. But a final brings different challenges, if you like. And you guys know a final certainly brings the nerves out. You can get a red card in the first 10 minutes, and the whole dynamics change of that final. So Munster's discipline has been good lately, and I think that's why they've been able to beat teams away. So Munster would have done their homework. They would know where to tackle the Stormers, but at the same time, the Stormers, like I said, they can adapt But for them, it's about keeping the ball in play. It's about having Mani Libbok running the show. So if Munster can certainly, rattle Mani Libbok, they're in with a chance. But obviously, it's easier said than done because not many teams have managed to rattle Mani Libbok.
No, they haven't. Munster managed to once this season, but there are going to be 5,000 Munster fans apparently coming out, which is going to be amazing. Which means there's going to be a bit of noise. It'll be a great atmosphere there in the stadium. Now we're just going to focus, Brayton, on the Stormers for a little bit, and we've got moment of the season. Now, Stevie picked this moment of the season. We have touched upon it already. If we can see it, it's going to be even. No babies were hurt in the filming of that. I just have to say that. I mean, John Dobson with the fist pump as well. It's class, and I can't believe they flew James Haskell out to DJ.
I tell you what, if I'm Graham Roundtree, I will play that video before they went onto the park on Saturday. And I think lots of people know that it is a psychological way, sort of welfare when it comes to finals. And Stormers certainly gave Munster a lot of motivation, if you like, after that video. So, yeah, it was a magic moment of the season because nobody expected Munster to beat them. So now, here we are in the final. And I think a lot of people, even the neutrals, are looking forward to this final.
Stevie, what do you make of it?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Like, just we've been chatting about the last couple of years, even when we've had Dobbo on the URC Unloaded or interviewed him pre or post match. Like, he's always talking about how good a group of lads that he has, the culture that they have built. They're not a team. Yes, of course, Mani Libbok, maybe one or two others, like a team full of superstars who go out and pay stupid money to try and build a team. They're not like that. As Bobby said, Skinstad said, they're still in administration. They're still a club that's finding their feet. They won the URC last year and potentially win it again. So how do you get to that point without having something fun and enjoyable and everybody wants to be a part of it? And that's what Dobbo has created there. And I think that video just highlights and sums up where they are at the minute. And I would have been exactly the same, been playing at home in front of 50-odd thousand people, home fans. A result like that goes your way, which nobody expected. So no, it was a quality.
I picked the moment of the season for me was the win against the Sharks away from home, because prior to that, the season had started okay. Cardiff beat them. They drew with the Ospreys, and they were doing okay. But this is off the back of being pretty well beaten by Ulster. And they play the Sharks in Durban and just end up destroying them. And I think from this game on, which was 4th of February, they've only lost 2 games in all competitions. So this was a turning point for me. I mean, the great weather just suits how the Stormers want to play, because if they can get any front foot ball, any go forward ball, they've got Libbok, who I love watching to play. They've got Willemse as well. So they've got 2 ball players and then just electric wingers. They're just a joy to watch when the ball is dry and they're on the front foot.
Yeah.
What's the story with team selection this week? Free, is he fit? No.
Yes, Stevie. Fourie is fit. John Fourie is fit, and Marvin Oye is fit. I mean, it's 2 senior guys in the side, and obviously, as you've seen against Connacht, the guys who came in, Willie Engelbrecht came in, but he made over 20 tackles. So this is a squad that John Dobson has built the last sort of couple of months. And in this season, I think prior to the previous season, he had to work on the depth of his squad. If you think about, Ivan Roos got injured, and then Willie Engelbrecht came in. Dixon, the flanker who used to play lock and flank, he was stepping up. It was a breakthrough season for him as well. So many players had to step up. Dan du Plessis, I'm sure you guys haven't seen much of him, but this year, he's been outstanding. He's been phenomenal in the midfield. Him together with Rochelle, who was also injured for some time. So Dobbo was tested, with his depth of his squad. And to a certain extent, they didn't really come in and made a big difference, but they just hang in there. They really hang in there. Like Tom said, before the Sharks game, people weren't talking about the Stormers. They weren't playing like defending champions. And I think Dobbo certainly he's created an environment where these players excel. And people mustn't forget that Mani Libbok, Leoland Zas, these guys, they were at the Sharks and the Bulls, and they didn't really play. John Dobson went, he fetched them for a minimal amount, and he made them world beaters. So this team is not just a happy team, but it's a team where John Dobson has created a happy environment where players can express themselves. In South Africa, a lot of teams are very conservative, except the Stormers, as you can see. I mean, Tom said you love watching the Stormers play. So the Stormers are playing a kind of brand that make even the Bulls supporters smile. And that is a rarity in this country where there's a rivalry between the Stormers and the Bulls.
Weaknesses. What weaknesses would you say, Brayton, the Stormers have?
Yeah, I think obviously if you slow their ball down at crucial times, like Dion Fourie is doing to other teams, I think you're in with a chance. If you disrupt their lineouts can be a problem. We saw when Marvin Orie doesn't play, he calls the lineouts. He's very instrumental in the lineouts. He really dictates and demands respect in the lineouts. So lineouts for me, and to a certain extent, you need to defend well against the Stormers. They're very unpredictable. They are not scared to attack from anywhere on the field. They scored a lot of tries from turnover ball, almost like the New Zealand sides, if you like. So I would say that's a kind of weaknesses if I was a Munster man.
Stevie, they're up against Munster, who have got the best defensive record this season. It showed by Leinster only managing to score 2 tries against them. How important do you think is the breakdown at the weekend? Because you get good breakdown, you slow breakdown, you can get line speed, and you can put a bit of pressure on players like Libbok and Willemse.
Do you know what? I think it's going to be an interesting team selection for Munster. I see Snyman is out in South Africa, so he's probably going to be in the second row alongside John Klein. So that means it frees up Tag Byrne to play with the number 6 jersey. He played so well in the second row against Leinster. I know he started in the back row against Glasgow, but to have him and Peter O'Mahony in the back row alongside Coombs, who actually is very, very strong over the ball as well. I think the only reason for that, or one of the main reasons for that, is because he's such a big man. And when he gets over, he's so difficult to shift. So, that is an area where I think Munster will actually go after. You look at Peter O'Mahony for club and for country, he is one of the best line-out defenders in the world. And, that's why he's gotten so many international caps, is how, the fine details that he goes after to work out the opposition is second to none. So, yeah, I expect, like Brayton talked about there, them to go after those 2 areas massively, go after the breakdown and massively go after the line out. And let's not forget here, Shanks, like Munster held on to the ball really, really well against Leinster. That 60% possession, 60% territory. I wrote a few things down earlier on. They made over 100 more passes than Leinster in that game. Like, that's unheard of. It's unheard of. So, I think they will try and starve the Stormers of possession and, try and keep it. They try and dictate it. Whether or not they'll be able to do that against Manny, Libbok and Cole, we'll wait and see.
That's my worry for Munster, is the amount of tries they score, and they've managed to do whatever it took to beat Leinster, but they only scored 1 try. In the game before against Glasgow, they only scored 2 tries. The defense is good, I get that, and it's about winning. But I just feel that the Stormers will score tries, and if you can't match that, then you haven't got a chance. Now, we picked a moment of the season for the Stormers. Let's have a look at your moment of the season, Stevie.
Well, it has to be. It has to be the Jack Crowley drop goal. All the Leinster fans wish that Ross Byrne had taken a bit of a leaf out of his book and done the same thing against La Rochelle at the weekend. But I love that. I love that. The finger shake, the Ronan O'Gara 2009 Grand Slam. Were you playing that game, Shanks?
Yeah, Thanks.
Were you unlucky? And it was just an amazing moment. Again, I was working, doing commentary on the game. What a game it was. What a game. And even to go back, rewind the clock back, where did Munster's season sort of turn? Because they were bottom of the log for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. It was that game against South Africa A, where South Africa A put out a half decent team. Simon Zebo turned up. A few of the other big names from Munster turned up, and it was a sold out stadium, a Gaelic football stadium or a hurling stadium, I believe, and they got a win which just seemed to get their momentum into the season, and from them they sort of never looked back. And I was thinking about this, like the last sort of 3 weeks has almost been like a bit of a free hit for Munster. It's just been like, okay, well, we maybe didn't really expect to be here, but we'll just go out. We'll go with this game plan. Let's give it a last. See how it goes. They win. Same again the following week. And now they're in a final. It almost feels like this is a free hit for them just to go out and play. So that, for me, this could be the game of the season. If both teams go out and play, this could be the game of the season.
We see some great games in the playoffs, and that's why they're there, because that's what people want to see. And nothing has gone as any of us expected. And you think about Munster, Stevie, and I remember commentating on a couple of their games at the start of the season. They played Cardiff, they lost. They played the Dragons, they lost. And you're thinking, Graham Roundtree's under a lot of pressure. And, you blink, and 4 months later, they're in a final. And for me, you're right with South Africa A. That was a turning point. But I think the win over the Stormers might be even bigger for them, because not many teams have done that. Not many teams go out to South Africa and win. And this will give them, I think, the top 2 inches, a bit of a psychological win, because they'll be saying to themselves, we've done it already. We can do it again. No problem. That's one of the reasons why Wales can't beat New Zealand, because they haven't done it in 60 years. But these guys, a lot of this team will be playing at the weekend, have done it, and they'll use that. And I think that puts them in a better position than probably anyone else in this league for the final.
This is a blueprint for Munster against this Stormer side. Maul defence just not good enough. Hitting it in 1s and 2s, getting spun out, just ambling back into position. Munster, their maul was unbelievable in this game and give them a platform, scored tries off it. And, even playing with width, Keith Earls will probably start again for Munster.
Forward pass.
Forward. Keith Earls will probably start. By the way, Shanks, how good was Keith Earls in the semi-final?
Mate, his defence was just. I mean, it was a game for wingers where there wasn't much space. They had to chase a lot of kicks, they had to make a lot of defensive tackles, a lot of good reads. He was brilliant, honestly. Like, he can still generate a lot of power. The backs is really interesting for me at the weekend, because I don't know whether Ben Healy's fit. Do you know, Stevie, if he is or not?
Not sure.
Because then that dictates who you play in the centres. Because I thought Healy at 10, when he went off, I thought that's it for Munster, because he was playing really well. Crowley moved to 10, because I thought Crowley was looking good at 12, and they played with Frisch as well. I heard someone in the stadium, what are they calling him? Tony Fish. Come on, Tony Fish. Tom Frisch, who's been, I think, one of the finds for Munster. But it's that 10-12 combination, 10-12-13 combination. They need a nail, and they've got a couple of different options, and that's probably been their fault really all the way through the season. You're not quite sure of their best combination. Frisch will play 13, but then if Fekito's fit, do they move him into 12? They move Crowley to 10, or do they play Healy at 10? But Crowley has to play, especially after last week. So they got a lot of decisions to make, and key ones as well.
Yeah,
but not up to me, mate. Not up to me. So that brings us to an end on the focus on Munster Stormers. I won't get a prediction from you yet, lads. We'll save that to the end. Now, Brayton, we do this thing called Rants of the Week, and it could be about anything. Like, it could be whatever you want. Stevie's always got something about old people, mostly, or animals. Steve, what's on your mind this week?
You've caught me here, Shanks. I don't really have anything. You've all probably been reading the stuff in the press about Johnny Sexton and Sean O'Brien with Ronan O'Gara and Will Skelton at halftime in the changing room. But I think it's the point I'll be making here is how specifically more in the playoffs here that teams, coaches, players now are going after referees. And I think it needs to be cut out of the game. We're not football. We're rugby. We're it's a sport built on respect, and I think we need to cut this out of the game. And there almost needs to be sanctions. World Rugby, UPCR, whoever it may be, need to put their foot down and hopefully eradicate this out of the game, because we want to talk about the rugby match and not talk about an incident at halftime between players and coaches, because it was such a great spectacle. So that's my rant.
I'll give you mine, Brayton, so you get an idea of where we're going. Mine's now the weather's turned here, Brayton, in the UK. It's a lot warmer, so you got to open your windows a lot more. And when I'm trying to put my 4-year-old to bed at night, there's people power washing cars, drives at 8:30, mowing lawns, messing around, building. Do your shit in the day. Stop doing it at night when we're trying to put kids to bed. That's mine.
Do I also need to get one, guys?
Hey? You don't have to give one. If you want to, you can. If you don't, it's fine.
No.
Come on, Brayton.
I just like. I think Cape Town. There's not going to be space for anybody this weekend in Cape Town. So I think for the elderly, I hope that people just respect the elderly people this weekend in Cape Town, and I hope the elderly know what's coming to Cape Town this weekend. Off the hook.
Well, I'm coming over, and I tell you what, if Gavin Muldoon, head of production at Viaplay, has not sorted out any restaurants or bars, I'm going to be fuming.
Give me a shout.
I think it's going to be busy. Now we did this game last week, Brayton. It's a bit of fun, and you've got to name the club. So I'm not sure who's going first. Well, as it comes up on the screen, names will come up, and you've got to name the club that they play for, and it's quite difficult. Who knows which one Ben's going to bring up first? Producer Ben. He's under pressure now, sweating. Have we got anything, Ben? No. No, I don't think we've got anything.
Brayton, can you see those, Brayton? Can you see the players? No. Yeah. Who do you think Bradley Roberts plays for?
Bradley Roberts.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Oof, guys, I don't know.
He's an international as well.
Yes, Bradley Roberts, man. Shit, I don't even know.
Take a punt. A team in Wales.
Oh, Ospreys.
No, the Dragons.
The Dragons, okay.
What about Paddy Patterson? Who do you think Paddy Patterson plays for?
Paddy Patterson, that sounds Irish, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, man. Paddy would play for, I would say, maybe for Connacht.
Oh, Munster.
Munster? Okay.
He's out injured. He's been out injured. Yeah, brilliant player. Yeah. Really good player, Shanks. He tore his ACL, so he's been out the last sort of 4 months, I think. So he played actually quite a few games earlier on in the season. What about Marshall Sykes?
Marshall Sykes. Oh my goodness. Does he play for Glasgow?
I have no idea. Edinburgh.
Close. Oh my word. I'm bad, man.
Jason Harries.
Think capital country where I'm from.
Oh word, man.
What's the capital of Principality Stadium? Where's that?
Oh, Wales, eh? Wales.
Yeah, and where are the home games for Wales? They're in
Cardiff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tommy. I got one.
Wait till it's Argo. It's even harder.
Okay.
Jake Flannery. Let's finish it off.
Ireland, eh? He's in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Easy. He's Irish, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Strong accent, Pearson accent.
Very strong. Okay, so he is Ulster.
Yeah.
Yes, I got
Got
it. That's tough, man, guys.
Right, they're tough, mate. We'll have a look. We'll have a look at what we've got to do now. It's a bit easier for us because there's two of us. Ben, I can't see them again.
Ben, I can't see them.
So they're coming.
They're coming. They're en route. He's having a meltdown. Here they come.
Yeah, technology, guys. Okay. Stevie.
You know these ones, Brayton, don't you?
Know these ones.
Sharks. Shanks.
No.
Oh, Lions. No.
Bulls.
Chris? Yeah, Bulls.
Pinksy. Yeah, Pinksy is Sharks.
Yes, well done.
We all know Brock.
You gotta know, Brookie.
Stormers.
Oh yes, well done.
You got the difficult one, Shanks.
I know.
Come on, Shanks.
Brayton.
It's on the coast. One on the coast.
On the coast.
Sharks.
Yes, well done.
Durban, Stevie. It's on the coast.
Durban, Stevie.
Yeah. Just a tune up there, isn't it?
Right. Do we have any questions? Have we got any internet questions that come on? Sometimes we get some. Can't see them again.
I can see them. This is URC finals, higher or lower. Shanks for 2022. The Stormers beat the Bulls 18 points to 13, and then we have to go higher or lower for the Munster versus Leinster final in 2011. So is it higher or lower than the points margin, which is 5 points?
Higher.
Yeah, definitely higher.
I'm going to go higher. Yeah, 10 points. Leinster versus Ospreys 2012 final. We know that the Ospreys won that final, but was it higher or lower than 10 points? Lower.
I'm pretty sure it's lower. I don't think they won by many. I thought it was really like
lower
3 points.
Whoa! 30 points to 31.
Close. I thought it was 3. Yeah.
Connacht versus Leinster in 2016. I think it was played at in Edinburgh. And Connacht won that. Higher or lower? 1 point. It's got to be higher, doesn't it?
Yeah,
has to be.
10 points. Munster Glasgow 2015.
Higher.
Lower.
Sure.
Ooh. 18 points. The Leinster Ulster final 2020. That's got to be lower, doesn't it?
It's got to be lower, surely.
What was it?
Higher.
It's higher, yeah. 2 points.
27 points to 5. Well, thanks very much, Ben. That was a great game. Fair play.
Right. So let's have a prediction for this weekend. Now, Brayton, give us who you think is going to win and why.
Yeah, I do feel the Stormers is going to win. Number one, home ground advantage. I mean, obviously, Munster is the last team to beat them, at the DHL Stadium. And I just feel this time around, Mali Libbok off game. And because of the way Munster played, I'm sure they're going to try the same tactics again. But I can't see Mali Libbok making the same mistakes again. And obviously, the forwards need to step up to Munster's forwards. They are physical. They know what they're doing. They're a well-oiled machine. But I just feel that if the Stormers can match the Munster forwards, Stormers by about 5 points.
Okay. Stevie Fez.
Shanks, last year was a fairy tale for the Stormers, and I think this year is going to be a fairy tale for Munster. I just feel that they're playing really smart rugby. They're well coached. Roundtree, he was a hard physical player himself. Confrontational, resilient, and he seems to have embedded that into these Munster guys. Like the 17 offloads as well against Leinster, 13 out of 13 in their lineouts, really well drilled. They're welcoming back Snyman, Murray, Fekatoa, Calvin Nash, John Hodnett will probably come off the bench. Casey was unbelievable as well against Leinster, Crowley, and of course Earls probably in there as well. it seems now that they've got their bulk of their squad fit and healthy, and they'll have a couple of trick plays like Leinster did against La Rochelle last weekend up their sleeve. And I just feel that Munster, if this is a free one for them, and they're just going to go out there and express themselves. So I'm going to go for a Munster win. I think it's going to be very tight, couple of points.
Well, I thought Stormers have got too much X factor, especially in that backline. Too many line breakers, too many quality players, and then they've also got a really good pack, a really good scrum. But I think this has been the month, or the last 2 months, for the unpredictable, and nothing that we predicted has gone through. So
no,
therefore, I'm going for a Munster win because it's just been all the way through the quarters and the semis. Nothing that we've called, and we think, and the bookies have all got it wrong. So therefore, I'm going with a Munster win. Now, myself, Alan Quinlan, and Ross, and producer Gavin Muldoon, we're coming over to see you boys and girls in Supersport for the final, which is going to be amazing. And just to get the juices flowing a little bit more, we've got a video to get you all excited. So we'll see you soon, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Saturday is going to be unbelievable. The URC final live from a sold-out Cape Town stadium. I hope Ross gets sick again, and that way I can present. I mean, I was good last year. Like, really good. Guilty. Like a bald Claire Balding. And that reminds me, I need to get my spray tan booked. The weather should be nice. I wonder what Stevie's going to wear. It'd be something terrible. I mean, the fashion police are always after him. I'll give him a call now.
Stevie, potato head. What's the plan for Saturday? You going to Turkey? Without me? Hair and teeth? Mate, you said we were going to do that together. Not cool. It's poor form, that. All right. See you later. Hope they mess it up.
Oh, right, that's Stevie out. I better ring JB, see what time he's heading over.
Barkley, what's happening? You wearing those parachute trousers? The old parkour running one Saturday? What? You aren't coming either? You're on a couple's retreat? Well, say hello to your wife for me. Oh, she's not there. Who are you with? Ryan Wilson's there. Makes sense. Ryan Wilson. I suppose no Scottish team is in it either. So why would you be there? Okay. Right. Well, keep it clean. Have a good break. It's kind of cute in a way, you and Wilson. All right. See you later.
What am I going to do? The lads have left me in it. This is the biggest game of the season. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm out of there. Wait. Maybe? Nah, they'd never agree to it. Or would they? Just imagine that crowd chanting my name as I present the trophy to the captain.
Shank their tank. Shank their tank.
Come on. It's worth a try.
Shanks!
Now,